Although it doesn't seem like it, this happened quite a while back. Probably over 10 years ago. I was in the later years of high school and was home alone. My parents were at a wedding that required them to stay at a hotel, and my brother worked the night shift. At that time, my family lived in a very well-known East Coast city in a blue-collar neighborhood that was starting to take a nosedive. As a teenager, I was a bit of a loner. I wasn't a nerd or anything. I was a big dude who had friends and went on dates, but I'm a natural introvert, so I cherished the rare alone time that I got. This weekend I was looking forward to engaging in my normal empty house routine, play some PlayStation on the big screen TV, then order a late takeout dinner, pizza or Chinese, and pig out while watching some Dragon Ball Z. Then around 2 a.m., fall asleep on the couch with my old dog, Cecil. Cecil was a beagle who was as old as the hills and had been in our family for about 8 years. He was quiet and peaceful and spent his time begging for food and sleeping. Unlike most beagles, Cecil never howled or barked. He was more than content to rest his head on your lap and spend the night there. Anyway, back to the story. It's approximately 1 a.m. I had just finished the last slice of pizza and was dozing off on the couch when I heard a bang coming from the back alleyway. I didn't think much of it. Anyone who has lived in a city knows noises happen at all moments of the night. Cecil's head popped up off my lap and the hair on his back stood up. He was always a bit skittish, so I calmed him down and started dozing off again. Not more than 2 minutes later, I heard another bang, and Cecil did something I had never seen him do before. He leaped off the couch and ran like the wind towards the door leading to the basement, barking and growling like a dog twice his size. The look on his face reminded me of a German Shepherd K9 unit. I'd never seen him like that before, which got my adrenaline pumping. Through the dog's barking, I can now make out a persistent banging. There was a seldom-used door in the basement that led to our back alleyway. It was old and rusted and was hard to open, even with a key, and it made a lot of noise. I suddenly realized that someone was trying to break into my house, through my basement door. A quick little bit of context for anyone who hasn't lived in a bad neighborhood. If someone tries to get into your house and moves on after they realize the door is locked, they want your stuff. If someone is persistently trying to get into your house despite the door being locked, well, they want you. Knowing this, I rush upstairs to grab the heavy wood baseball bat that I keep under my bed for situations like this. Then, I head down to the basement. I probably should have run, but I was a macho teenager with a tough guy complex, and plus I had nowhere to go. While I'm heading down the stairs to my basement, Cecil blows past me with the speed and aggression of a dog half his age. Suddenly, I heard a man's voice say, "O-F-U-C-K," and the banging stopped. I didn't call the cops or anyone else, which was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. I just sat up for the rest of the night with a bat in hand. My brother came home that morning, and I told him what had happened. We went to the basement door to take a look, and when we gave it a tug to open it, the whole door fell off. This psycho was one good shove away from getting in my house, but old Cecil scared him off. I'm pretty sure that lazy fat old dog saved my life. When I tell this story to people, they dismiss his actions as a dog doing what a dog is supposed to do. But when I tell you that Cecil never barked or moved that fast in his life, you can take that to the bank. It was almost like he knew the urgency, like he knew that door was gonna give. A few years back, we had to have him put down cause he just had no will to live anymore. Before the injection, I got a moment alone with him. I thanked him one last time for his friendship, and for what he did that night. At this point, I was a grown man, with a wife and kids. I'm convinced none of that would have happened without old Cecil. Thanks, pal. I miss you. I was 13 years old when this happened, and it still gives me nightmares thinking about it. My parents wanted to go out on a date night, so they left me home on a Friday night. I am an only child, so I stayed home alone. We had a one-story home with a daylight basement that had its own entrance. We live on a dead-end street that is pretty quiet in the evening, so not many cars come and go. My neighbors are pretty close to my house too, so I didn't feel uncomfortable being home by myself. So, my parents left around 6 p.m. for their dinner reservation, and I had a nice hot pizza delivered and was ready to watch some scary movies all by myself. I was excited. I locked the door behind them and popped on the TV. I was scrolling through the movies on my Roku app and decided to watch one of the Halloween movies first. I snuggled in my nice, warm fuzzy blanket on the couch, got comfy, and began my night alone. About an hour passed and I got up to use the bathroom. While in the bathroom, I thought I heard noises coming from the basement. It sounded like something was moving around, but I figured I was home alone, what could it be, so I brushed it off as nothing. I finished in the bathroom and went back to my couch to finish the movie. Another 5 minutes passed and again, moving noises in the basement. Now I started getting that nervous feeling in my gut. I stopped the movie to listen to more noises. Oh crap, what is that? I thought about that entrance door down there and wondered if it was locked. I assumed my parents locked it. Oh, I hope they did. I didn't know what to do. I took a deep breath and decided to walk towards the basement and put my ear to the door. What a mistake! I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. I froze in fear. This has never happened to me before. I have been home alone in the past, but mostly during the day. I know the obvious thing to do would be to call the cops, but did I do that? No. I ran outside, went to my neighbor's house, and banged on their door. Thankfully they were home and let me in. I was out of breath, scared, and couldn't get the words out fast enough. I asked them to please call the cops, there was someone in my house. Hurry, please. They called 911 and the cops came over within 10 minutes. I also called my parents to let them know what was going on. I let the cops check out the house and I stayed at my neighbor's where I felt safe. After some time, one of the cops came over to my neighbor's house and said they didn't find anyone in the house, but did say that whoever it was came in through the basement entrance, it must have been unlocked. Nothing was taken and everything was in its place. My parents got home and of course, were very upset and scared. The cops assured us the house was clear and asked us to lock our doors and windows at all times. They think this person saw my parents leave and assumed the house was empty. I don't want to think that this person knew I was home alone. After some thought, my mother said, "Oh no, I don't think we locked the basement door." She just assumed since we lived in a quiet neighborhood, we were safe, so she didn't really worry about it. Needless to say, after that night, we all made sure every door and window stayed locked. They still leave me alone, but they let the next door neighbors know when they do just in case. I still think about this night and it gives me nightmares. I am 16 now and feel a little uneasy being home alone, but I know I need to get over it. Please stay safe out there, and always lock your doors. You don't know who is lurking around your neighborhood. I've experienced many odd and unexplainable events in my life, but this event has been on my mind for a few years now and I finally decided to tell it. And pray I'm not the only one who's experienced something like this, so let's start from the beginning. I graduated from high school in 2019 and was promoted to supervisor for a kitchen in a nursing home down the street. Since I oversaw dinner, I didn't start work until about 3:30 p.m. and would get home around 10 p.m. So for the first half of the day, I would be completely home alone. I enjoyed that time. Solitude was always nice, especially when you're as introverted as I am. Normally I would sleep in until about noon, but this time I decided to relax on the couch in our main living room and watch Kitchen Nightmares. I remember nodding off and falling into a light sleep so that any small noise would wake me up. The first few times I cracked my eyes open, it would just be from the cats jumping on me, so when I felt the cushion by my feet dip a bit, I figured it was my cat Peach. After a moment I opened my eyes and realized my younger sister was sitting at the end of the couch, her back to me. I was half asleep, so I really didn't think much of it. I figured she'd just stayed home from school sick. So I just asked her if she could move her head so I could see the TV, but she ignored me. Still facing the TV screen, annoyed, I asked her why she was home. Once again she remained silent, coming to the conclusion that she was just being rude. Again I closed my eyes and fell back asleep. After about another hour I got up and started to get ready for work and noticed my sister wasn't in the room or in the house. Concerned, I called her. After trying to call her a few times and getting nothing, I called my mother. She picked up and I asked her if sis told her where she was going. My mother, confused, asked me what I was talking about. She dropped sis off at school before going to work. My sister had been at school this whole time. In shock, I hung up and kept this to myself, convinced I was losing my mind. That was all in my head, but I remember that moment so vividly. What my sister was wearing, how she was sitting, and how I felt a shift in the couch when she sat down. This wasn't a dream, this was real. It had to be. There was something in my house with me that morning, and it was not my sister.